Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Decisions Lunch and Learn. My name is Josh. I am, happy to help you throughout this. We'll go through some issues one by one, and we'll learn together. So, if there's any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, put them in the Q&A, and then I'll answer them, in order in which they came. So, does anyone have any questions right off the bat? Feel free to, drop them in there. Go ahead and start sharing my screen. Something I've been kind of working through. If we don't have any questions, I can just go ahead and start building. Cache and how to avoid avoid/use. Nope, can't use the slash. All right, we'll do avoid or use. So I just got off the a customer call where a user was experiencing like, oh, she types in the data one way and then she'll hit cancel on the form, and then the next time she brings it up, it'll look the same, but she like didn't want that value to save, or she wanted that value to save, and it was for a little bit, but then as soon as they restarted the server, it ended up changing. And so that is a product of caching. So I'm just gonna make this assignment stuff. I'm gonna create that flow. Caching saves us so much time on the back end, because instead of going to the database every time to grab the value, we grab it from cache because it exists there, so might as well use it. But it can cause some kind of some struggles between people building with it and learning how it how it works, and it can cause some frustration. My very first support ticket when I was working for support was this person was experiencing these changes in data, but they weren't saving, but they weren't like saving the object. So it was just like their changes, the changes they were making were being visible on the form. In the database they look different, but then as soon as he would refresh his screen or clear cache, it would show back up as the stuff from the database, and then he changed it again. It was very confusing, but what it boils down to was, instead of pulling the data from the database directly, it was pulling it from cache, and that value was changed in cache. Therefore, it was showing up as something like that. So I'm going to put a simple form in here. We're going to kind of like walk through an example. So I'm building this for a customer, so just to kind of show how it works. So cache form, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a data type. I'm going to create an entity, and it's going to be superhero. Wears cape. Primary color. Secondary color. Wears cape is going to be a Boolean, either true or false. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. We have wears cape, primary color, secondary color. There's probably many different attributes to superheroes. That's kind of all I can think of right now. If anyone has any attributes, feel free to put it in as a question, and I'll get to that. So, right, I'm going to create a flow to create my superhero. Go ahead and just create this flow. Before I even create it, I'm going to go ahead and create a folder to hold my superheroes. Go ahead and save that. So now I have a folder where all my superheroes can live. Go to my create superhero. I don't know why I put this on here. Put this on there a while ago, but it just annoys me now. So create a form. Really simple form just to take in data. Create superhero form. Put a couple components on there. checkbox, wears cape, and then just 2 text boxes for primary color and secondary color. Put a button to create. Oh, not right there. Primary color. Put a nice little label on there. Then one more label. Secondary color. Put another text box. All superheroes tend to have 2, like a primary color and a secondary color. I don't know if anyone's noticed that besides me, but yeah, so primary, secondary color. And we also we should probably have a name for this print. So I'm going to just put it up here. We're going to know what that is. I'm going to put a superhero name. It's going to be very ambiguous what that is. Now you're going to have a label. Go ahead and just ignore all these inputs. We don't want to guess, what these superheroes are. We want to have a clean slate. Go to user defined types. Let's go to my entities, go to my superhero. And I'm going to create my superhero object. So folder ID, I already established that, so I can just pick it as constant. Superhero folder. Item to create, I'm just going to build data on this and map all my inputs. Let's go, shoot. I don't know why you got to do that. Let's go input mapping, yep, build data. Where's cape? Primary color, secondary color, and the name is going to be my superhero name. So I'm just going to debug this a couple times, create a couple superheroes. Might find out that one doesn't have a secondary color. We'll see. So start off with obviously the best, Superman. That's primary color. I'm gonna say he has more blue than red, and I'm gonna say his secondary color is red. Very controversial, of course. I'm gonna go ahead and create Superman. Let's just go ahead and do another one. I'm gonna make Iron Man my personal favorite superhero. He does not have a cape, which I named checkbox, but he does have, I would call it hot rod red, as opposed to just regular red. And then I'm gonna push gold. It's probably not gold, but pretty close. So I'm gonna go ahead and create. So now I have 2 superheroes in my superhero folder. So if I go to my superhero folder, I'm going to see Iron Man, Superman. Now, let's say I want to change one of those superheroes. So I'm going to make this is where it's going to get into like the caching issue. So I'm going to make a new user action called edit superhero. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. I'm going to use the same form as my other one, just for editing. I think I called it create superhero form. Oh, nope, can't do that. Got to make a new one to explain the caching issue. So make a new form. Call it editing superhero. Go ahead and create that. This one, instead of taking in the fields by the item, I'm going to take in the whole superhero itself. So recent. Where's my superhero? There it is. That's all I'm going to take in. So I'll fill it up with labels this time. So I'll do name, primary color, secondary color, and then one more checkbox. I'll name it Where's Cape this time. Okay, let's go text box or name. Instead of typing it in as an input, I'm going to pick from my name. Is that name? Put one button in here. It says save. Put another text box. Pick from data. Primary color. Another text box. Pick from data. Secondary color. And then establish my Where's Cape. Instead of data name, I'm going to pick Where's Cape. Save. Okay, so now here's where it'll start getting odd as far as saving, right? There's no save step in this flow. I am going to take in my entity, my superhero, as the whole object coming into my form, and close and save this. Now, if I go to my superhero folder, I right click, I have edit superhero. You'll see Iron Man, Hot Rod Red, Gold. So I'm going to switch this to Hot Rod Orange. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to save it because I have no save button in there. I'm just going to close it out. I'll go ahead and edit the superhero. Ooh, it says Hot Rod Red. That's super nice. I'll change it to orange, and then I'll hit save. So there's no save button, but it switched it to Hot Rod Orange, right? That's because this field right here, this text box, is directly tied to the primary color of the object that is coming into this flow, right? Or coming into this form. The whole superhero object is in the form. Therefore, this text box directly represents, primary color or secondary color, right? So whenever I go to change something, I'm actually changing in cache what that value means. And so there's a difference between stored in cache and stored in the database. It's going to store from cache, right? So like right now, every time I go to right click it for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to get Hot Rod Orange. But let's refresh our screen here. Let's clear cache. So to go to developer tools, right click, empty cache and hard reload. Emptying all my cache in my browser. Edit the superhero. Oops, still see Hot Rod Red. So there's probably some data. There's probably some server cache that's holding that in. So how do we prevent this, or how do we build without hitting this cache issue, right? Because it's very, very common for us to type things in. Maybe instead of hitting save, we hit cancel, and then it cancels the form or something like that. We're not, every time we edit the object, we might not be actually saving, and that's where we kind of need to build. In a manner, kind of build expecting these things to happen, expecting people to change things and then hit save. I can even hit, I can change the name of this, to Wonder Woman, and not even save the object. Next time I'm coming back to it, it's going to say Wonder Woman, even though I can see right here, it says Iron Man, that's because this is pulling from the database and my form is pulling from cache. So, how do we prevent this? How do we, build anticipating this kind of issue? What I typically do is, let's see, we have our superhero configuration. We have our edit superhero flow with our edit superhero form. Instead of taking in the whole object, what I typically do is disassign it from the, kind of object itself and just give it a new name. So give it superhero name, just get rid of this primary color, get rid of this secondary color attribute, and then get rid of the superhero Where's Cape. And so now everything is now an input to my form instead of the whole object. And I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the object as an input. So now we have 3 inputs or 4 inputs being like, what are the values of this superhero? And instead of pulling in, the whole object and renaming the value of the whole object, I can rename kind of the attributes of the object, and not, might not be necessarily saving it. So I'm gonna switch primary color, I'm gonna switch secondary color, switch where's cape, hit OK, close and save. And now go to superhero folder, Iron Man, edit superhero. Still probably gonna get some caching issues. Let's retry with Superman. Superman still has blue and red, so I'm gonna switch this to gold and red. Go ahead and save this, but because I switched the format and I switched the way it operates, I come back in here, I'm still going to see blue. And that's because it's not changing the value of this superhero in cache. It's just, it's just kind of leaving the form, coming into the, showing up in the object, and then just not saving. So if I hit cancel on this, if I hit save on this, it won't actually save, or it won't actually show or act like it's saving. So yeah. And there might be other reasons for doing that. Typically, I don't like also putting in the fields itself into the form. So instead of actually putting in the fields, or instead of putting in the object, this is the most common use case, or a pretty popular use case for people to have split assignments, right? For them to create a process folder, and for it to need to get approved by 2 people. So we're doing kind of multi-threading, right? We're showing one assignment to someone else, showing another assignment to someone else, and they're potentially editing the information about that object. And so with that kind of use case, this gets a little clouded, right? Because they might not be changing, or they might be changing values in one assignment, and then the other assignment is opening it back up, but they still see the secondary color as blue, or they still see the, where's cape as true, while the other assignment might be switching it to something else. So another kind of good practice here is, if you know that someone's going to be editing the information while someone else is also looking at the information, it's best to try to give them the most updated, up-to-date information as possible, right? So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to go to data flows, and I'm going to pull the object every single time. So I'm going to make this pull superhero information. Go to create this flow. I'll call this also. Go ahead and create that. Now, don't need all this. I need to change my local host so it doesn't do that. I'm just going to make it take in the hero ID. That's all I need for that as an input. And I'm going to go ahead, go to my entities, go to my superhero, and I'm going to get by ID. Done. Of course, you're going to have to do some kind of error handling here to make sure if your object is found or not. Then we'll do select from flow to take from our hero ID. That's going to be the result. Instead of outputting the whole object, we're going to output the name, primary color, secondary color, and where's mask. Where's mask is a Boolean. Go for my hero ID, go for my result. Oh man, where's mask? I named it where's cape. Secondary color. That's the beauty of these live demos, Good name. Perfect. Okay, close and save this. I'm going to update the inputs. All it takes in is a hero ID. So I'm going to make it just take in a hero ID from input. Do that. Now the outputs, all those values are coming out. The one thing I do need to do is run it startup. That's critical. So that as soon as it pops up, it's going to reach out to the database, grab up-to-date information, and pull it back. So now we have all these names coming in. Primary color, secondary color. where's mask or where's cape, whichever one. Save. Now I just have an ID coming into this. So I can go ahead and click the hero ID, entity, ID. Now my form is very, very flexible, and I can put it in a bunch of different places because it just takes in an ID. It doesn't need a lot to make it, to make it work. I don't need to put the whole object in. I don't need to put specific fields from the object in. Just give it an ID and it'll work. That way my form can be flexible in different situations. As far as this edit superhero, there's probably something else where it needs to view the superhero information and make a judgment call on it. In this circumstance, I can use that, that form, that edit superhero form, in a lot of different places. It's not just constrained to places where I have the object or places where I, stuff like that. It can be very flexible. All it needs is the ID. So I go to my superhero folder, go to Superman, edit the superhero, and now I see the most up-to-date information from the database. So let's turn this into an assignment where I'm changing the information, right? So I'll do not edit form. I don't really need this form. Use my edit superhero form. Delete this. Pick or create. I need my edit superhero. Just takes in the ID, which is perfect. I'll just give it a constant value in here. Give it Superman. Perfect, right? Close and save. Actually, no, I forgot to even make it an assignment. I'll come back in here, change it to assigned. I'm assigning it to me, I think, or admin, considering this is my local. I changed my first name of admin to be this checkbox just to see if it was possible. Change superhero, action name, change. Close and save this. Go ahead and cast myself an assignment. No, not yet. If I look at my inbox, I have this change superhero. Go ahead and hit my action. I see Superman, blue, red. So now while the superhero, Superman right now has those attributes, I can go ahead and go back to my superhero folder, superhero configuration, and I'm actually going to change this edit to save my information about this current superhero. So I'm going to do a save entity step right after this. Output mappings, go to my entity and remap. Name I don't want to change. Should probably force them not be able to change that. Where's cape? But I do want to change the primary color, secondary color, and where's cape. All this is going to do is I'm going to pick my superhero, pick my entity. So now I'm saving this off. So now if I go back to, let's just show again, my change superhero, current representation of Superman is blue, red, and where's cape. Now if I go to my superhero folder and change him to a different version of Superman, I think his primary color was once black, and his secondary color was once gray. If you are a comic book, kind of nerd like I was, they did have a couple costume changes. So we'll go black and gray. Still wears a cape. Save. Now, current standard of Superman is black, gray, and wears cape. Now, if I go to my inbox, I shall now see the new the same representation of what is current, right? This is how we should be building our assignments if data is changing, right? We should build our assignments or like they're kind of grabbing the data from the database instead of running on the current representation or what was given to it, right? I had this in the same way that I do my edit, where it takes in the fields it takes in the fields and outputs, the fields and stuff like that, how I used to have it. And it would take in red, blue, where's Cape, and it would stay that way until this assignment is complete. It would still say, if I would pull it up as an item, it would still say red, blue, where's Cape. But with this whole idea of taking it in as an ID, pulling the information from the database and showing the current representation here, my assignment's way more flexible. It's looking at current data instead of the data that used to be, therefore getting rid of a lot of those like data discrepancies, right? I'm now looking at current up-to-date information instead of the information that was. So this is a very, very common theme among assignments, right? We want people to look at some data and make a judgment call on it, make some kind of call on the data that they're looking at. But you kind of want to make sure that they are looking at the current up-to-date information, especially if you're allowing other users to change the data while this assignment is still active. So kind of like my example of change the superhero while someone has an assignment looking at the superhero information. So, all right, I think I talked enough. Does anyone have any kind of questions or kind of maybe examples on where they've kind of seen this in their project, this kind of discrepancies? Does everything here seem valid, what I'm talking about? It's okay if not. You might see it one day. Alex, I did not see your question in the chat. What was the question?
Oh, I see. Hi, Josh.
Hey, how's it going?
I posted a long description to a question in the chat, so I wanted to give you some context.
Oh, please do. Yeah, I'd love that. Would love that.
No, but that's why the question is so long, right? Because I wrote all the context.
Gotcha. I'm trying to pull up the chat myself. Seems like it's not really wanting to pull it up.
I can post it in the Q&A.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Give me a second. I will do a cut and paste.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem. So, and then the question itself.
Perfect. Now, does this question have something to do with what I was kind of spewing on about, or is it something new? Oh, okay, I see it. Okay, I see it. So I would like the process flow to say 20% complete when I send the post request to the bot, and say 75% complete when the bot comes back with the results. Currently, if I use the set percent completion step, the number appears correctly, but after it shows 100% complete. Note that currently I'm not assigning the task to an external system. Should I do that? If so, if I do that, how the external system indicate the task is complete? Okay, so you have a process in, like, I'm guessing a process folder standard,
yes,
right? Okay.
Correct. Oh, sorry, sorry, Josh. There's a bit of an intro that you missed right before that.
Oh, I see. Bot would like to take several minutes to complete this work. It simply returns a 200 to indicate it accepted the request for work from the user, or a 501 to indicate it rejected it. That's perfectly fine. Have you ever used a wait on external system step?
No, I have not. I heard of it this morning, and the person
Gotcha.
I was talking to wasn't very familiar with it.
That's interesting. I think we have a call, or we were trying to schedule a call with you this afternoon to discuss that. But yes. Wait on external system steps are really helpful. So you're sending in you said you're sending in a post call, and you kind of need to wait for that post call to return a result. Are you sending in the post call and it immediately returns a result, or do you have to kind of ping it again to get a result?
Yeah, there are two calls. One in which I send a request for work, and that one is responded immediately with external system saying, "Yeah, got your request, thank you."
Yep.
Because that request could take several minutes, and it would not be a good idea to keep
pinging it
open.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So they will call me back once they're done, right?
Yeah.
But I think that because I'm not assigning a task to anybody, the flow completes, right? I can then continue adding stuff to it, changing state and whatnot, but it's always marked as 100% complete.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So all right. We'll do a wait on externals step if you'd like. So demonstrate a wait on external. Demonstrate a whoa. So
whoa.
Yeah. So okay. So is it the instance I have with this and the instance I've run across in this kind of scenario is I don't know if you've ever worked with DocuSign. Have you ever worked with DocuSign?
I used it myself as a signer, but no, I did not.
Gotcha. If you work on it as a in like kind of an integration piece and like in kind of integration standpoint, it works very similar to the thing you're kind of demonstrating, right?
Yeah.
You send a request to you send a document to it. It's at the user's discretion how long they take to send that document back or to fill it back, right? But the process has to keep pinging DocuSign to figure out when it's done, right? We don't want to check initially, right? We want to give them some time to do that, but we also want to keep pinging them, right? We want to know when it's going to be complete. So we do the same thing, right? We send DocuSign a file, and then we have another step in decisions that uses DocuSign, pings it for a response, right?
Yeah, but
if it was complete or not.
System will not accept a ping in this case.
What did you say?
My external system will not accept a ping to.
Oh, they won't. Yeah, they won't accept like a ping to figure out when it's done, right? So wait, you have decisions, or your system is going to call decisions and tell them that it's done?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have it set up to call it a certain flow or something like that, or is it?
Exactly. There is the external system issues a post, which is through the decisions flow.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's a wait on an external system is not going to work for your use case, right? Wait on the external system pings another system waiting for a response, right? You don't need that. You need to set up a flow that an external system can hit and push your flow forward, right? Is that true? Okay.
Yep. Correct.
So, all right. So, yeah, what you can do here is you don't need to wait on an external system. I'm going to add another designer folder that says progress entity, and that's all I'm going to call it. And we're going to kind of simulate this here without using the like post call and pull call and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a very simple database structure that's just going to say I don't know, post example. It's the hardest part, thinking about like what should I name these temporary structures when I'm creating them. I'm just going to give it a name, and I'm going to give it a complete sign, right? Complete sign. I'm going to name that. I'm going to make it a Boolean, and then I'm going to hit save. So
you didn't make it a Boolean.
Yeah, I'm going to make it a Boolean. So let's go create a flow, and I'm going to make this one called. I call it create and monitor progress. I think I misspelled monitor. Oh yeah. Create and monitor progress. Go ahead and create this flow. Get rid of all my gunk that I use. Go to my user defined types and go to my database structure where I'm going to find my, what did I call it? I called it post example. I'm going to go ahead and create a post example right here. So this is going to be my post example. I'm going to build data on this. Name. Let's just do a generate name step so I don't have to keep remembering things. Generate random first name, put it right before that. Name is going to be select from flow, get first name, and I'm always going to want it to be constantly false every time I check it. So now what I am going to do is I'm going to set up a wait on external step, but it's actually going to be waiting on internal step. You can use it as a wait on internal system depending on the use case. But assignment name just going to be wait on post call. Action name is going to be wait you see the service outcomes. That's kind of where I'm going to want to, or scenarios is where I'm going to want to do this. So is complete. Put some space in there. Is complete. Okay. I think it involves you exiting the flow and entering back in. So I'm going to go back to my create monitor process. Look at my wait on external system. Go into this is complete flow. Now I have a, an outcome called is complete, right? And so what I'm going to do in this scenario is I'm just going to monitor that data structure, right? So I'm going to have it take in an ID, and I'm just going to have it fetch. So let's go to my database structure, my post example. I'm going to use a get by ID step, and all I'm going to use is a true and false step, true false rule. Just going to done, not found. Obviously, step not complete. Might have to put some error handling in here again, but true false rule is going to look at my my result post example and complete sign, right? And it's going to tell whether or not it's complete. So I'm going to pick my ID from here, my entity ID. That is my post call. And if is complete is true, then yes, we want to complete it. If it's false, don't complete it. Perfect, right? Set this, save this, set it off to the side. I want this to run instead of every 15 minutes. Just for this example, I want it to run every 30 seconds. Now, I do not recommend using it every 30 seconds, especially if you're working with a post system. You do not want to ping it this many times. I would say if you want to do this kind of manner, maybe do every hour, maybe do, depending on how fast you expect this to be done, you could do it maybe every 30 minutes or something like that. Just kind of be aware on this time span. For my example, I'm going to use every 30 seconds, but that's just because it's me. So it's screaming at me. At least one outcome can be specified. I think you have to set up a service outcome. Let's put this over here so we know that that's the complete process. So let's see if you can go in here and you can right click it and answer, actually, complete the assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and save. And now I have this create post example that is just, creating it and then monitoring it. So now what I also want to do is I want to say complete post example object. And this is something that you can call with your external system when it's done, right? When your system has answered the request, you can call this flow and you can be done with it, right? But all I need to do is go to my database structure, go to my post example. I'm going to use a get by ID step. I'm going to go ahead and use a create data step. And I'm also going to use a save entities step. That's all this flow is going to be doing. All this flow is going to be doing is getting that ID. So I'm going to do select from flow because you're calling the system. I'm going to say post example ID. It's not found. Obviously, you're going to have to put some error handling in here. Once it's found, we're going to set is complete to true. So I'm just going to put a true Boolean in here. Mark it as true. And then on the outcome, I'm going to change my result complete sign to true. And then let's go ahead and save our post call. Save the entity. Save the result. Perfect. Close and save. So now I'm going to have a create and monitor process, and I also have a create complete post example. So I'm going to pull up this create monitor process in one tab. And then this tab, I'm going to exit my superhero one, and I'm going to go into this demonstrator. Whoa. Did I name it progress entity? I did. Okay. And then I'm going to do this complete process. I'm going to pull this up as well. So this is the kind of system we're going to be setting up. So I'm going to debug this. All it's going to do is create my object and then start the kind of wait on external system. I'm going to go ahead and grab my ID of this. And you would have to send this across to your server. And we're going to wait 30 seconds, wait for this to kind of run the wait on external step. It runs it, every 30 seconds, but again, don't recommend 30 seconds, way too short of a time span to be putting in external systems. So it tried, right? It tried to complete it, and it returned false. Now this is kind of your example of like it's calling us back, giving us an ID saying, I'm done with this. Complete it and move forward. I'm going to go ahead and just complete that flow. This is imagining you calling this flow, it's setting it to complete and finishing the flow. Now, next time this goes to run, in the next 20 seconds, it's going to say, I'm finished, I'm done. Now it's time to move forward. Boom. So, right, our first wait on external system said, nope, we're not done yet because you guys haven't called us. So it checks and says step not complete. But the second one says, oh, you called us back, changing the information on my post example. And now it is true. Now it is complete. So I'm going to move forward. And now our create and monitor process is complete. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Okay,
so,
cool.
The question is in a process flow now. Is the process flow waiting? How does this get connected?
This flow?
Yeah.
Think of this flow as a service, right? Think of this flow as like you're calling it and you're just telling it to do something. It's just sitting there waiting for you to tell it what to do, waiting for you to kind of respond to it. It doesn't need to be called. It doesn't have to be called. It's just sitting there. Think of it as a service to your entity. You can complete it, you could not, doesn't matter. So that's something you can do. But I would recommend sending back is rejected, true or is rejected false. The way this works best is by that. So does that make sense?
It does. What I cannot connect is what you're telling me with the process flow that I already have, where, that puts a dashboard to a user saying where all the requests have been with respect to the external.
If I'm being honest, you can put this flow directly into your subflow. It would work exactly the same.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, like you can put this thing in, you could drop this thing in, right? Because this is a flow that literally just waits on something to be done. And then this is a flow that says it's done, right? You could put this in. I mean, obviously you're going to put accepted and rejected as an outcome path, as a scenario, and then have it return true or false or rejected or accepted, check either way, right? This is like plug and play. This will stop your process until something else, inhibits it.
And what would be the difference between this and a task assigned to someone else?
A task assigned to someone else is waiting on some kind of user input, right? It's waiting on someone to say it's accepted or rejected, right? In your case, like whatever is going to accept or reject it is somewhere else. It's outside of decisions. Of course, you can use it the same way. You can use the assignments the same way, but if you're not going to have any user coming into decisions and interacting with it, it might just be way too much overhead. So, I mean, you can obviously complete tasks via a web service as well. You can push it down a reject path. You can push it down a complete path or accepted path. Absolutely, you can do that. So you can do this via assignments, or you can do this on the wait on external system way. It's just two ways to shave a cat.
Okay.
Is that the right phrase?
My poor cat here is looking at you with an angry face. If I wanted to do it with a task, I know how to assign a task to someone. How do you mark that task completed from within a flow? Because
from within a flow, yeah, it's the same. It's something very, very similar in using kind of like this thing. I actually built it. I built it somewhere else. Oh gosh, I think it's in Helping Thomas. Essentially, it would do the same thing. It's the same thing as my kind of workaround, right? You're creating an assignment and you're saying this needs to be done. So let's go ahead and just create one. Let's do a form in here. Pick a create form. just gonna put a random button on it, just to submit, or just button, it's fine. Go ahead and make this a assigned form to myself. Hit the checkbox. Make the assignment name current task, assignment action, complete. Okay, and so now I have this regular assignment that's just anyone can do, right? If I go in here onto the assignment setup, I can come down to the bottom and hit action or additional assignment actions. I can go ahead and set an assignment action to be this. All right, so I'm going to say the outcome name, rejected. It's going to name them both as rejected. It's going to give me a new outcome as rejected. I'm going to go ahead and name another one as approved. So now I have approved and rejected as both outcomes to my form. I'm going to make this one go over here as rejected. Make another end step. Make this one go over here as approved. Okay, so now I have rejected and approved on this task. Completely fine. Now go back to my other example. So I'm going to set up another flow that's going to just be complete assignment. Hit complete. Go to integrations, internal services, assignment service, right? Down here at the bottom of the assignment service, there is a step called process form assignment response, right? This flow from, you can run it as a system. That's what I recommend. All it takes is an assignment ID. So I'm going to do select from flow, make an input called assignment ID. Add that comment. I'm going to leave constant as null. I think this might be still an issue where you got to leave these as constant, but not too sure. I'm going to put approved. Now these have to match 1-to-1 with what this is. And so I can go here, hit approved, and this should complete my assignment. So I will come in here. I'm going to debug this assignment. And this flow, and here's the kind of issue you get when you do this. You gotta find the assignment ID. And so it's not there yet. What I typically like to do, just to get the assignment ID if I wanted it, I can do a on-step run to a private flow. All I need to do is on-step run, make it private. Hopefully it shows up. There it is, edit. Connect this. And just need to click assignment ID. So I'm going to make all I need is the ID. So where's that assignment ID? Where you at? There it is. Nope, not that one. Right below it. Assignment ID. Boom. Okay, cool. Close. Save this. And let's debug. All right, so now I have a task sitting in my inbox. Right? I can come in here, try to get my assignment ID somewhere. Let's do a pop-up instead of just showing the outcome. So I can just get the assignment ID. Not too far down. I always get very trigger happy on my mouse. Assignment ID done. Cool, this is gonna go to just me. All right, so let's debug this really quick. I got this assignment ID should have been populated. Maybe, oh no, I know why. On-step runs do not work for assignments. You have to make it an assignment start flow. And so this should work. Pick, well, no, edit. Perfect, same thing. Okay. There it is, assignment ID, right? So I have my assignment ID. can just copy that, put it right in here as my, if I go to debug this, give it an assignment ID, run, and it completed my form. It approved it, right? So that's how you can do like the same thing with like zero interaction, zero interaction manipulating of a flow at runtime. But this, like you said, like look at this assignment, you see how long it took me to kind of set that up and get that set up. It's just too much overhead. Like you don't need it.
Yeah.
You don't need the form unless someone's actually going to be interacting with decisions using that form. The wait on the external system is perfectly fine for your use case. So.
Okay, perfect. That's
okay,
great.
Cool. If you're going to do a wait on the external system though, let me see. I would set an expiration date. So you're not like, so it's not going to,
hung forever.
so it's not going to, yeah. So it's going to, you can compute this date and you can do like in the future, constant of, 10 days or something like this, and it'll expire in 10 days. If you're going to do something like this, make sure you set an assignment timeout. So this thing isn't just waiting there forever, taking up all of your valuable, RAM. So does that make sense?
Yes, totally.
Perfect.
Totally.
You feel like you're capable enough to do this with your post call and stuff?
I'll try it.
we can always set up a call. I think Faiza should have reached out to you to try to set up a call like 1:30. So
no, I won't be able today. That you know what, this will let me start something, and if I cannot make it, I'll try tomorrow. I'll try with you guys tomorrow, but let me play with this on my own. And
okay.
Today
sounds good. Sounds like you're good, not lost or anything. So it's perfect.
Yeah. The other question is, if you have a normal task, common tasks, the ones that you assign, is there any step that allows you to mark that task as complete? Is there such a thing? Or you have to
you can always mark it as, you can complete it with this thing I just used, which is going to mark it as completed, right? But the use of a task is to halt the process, so then you can do something else afterwards. You can always create tasks and delete them. Like if you need someone to like kind of just remove the task in general, it'll remove the task. But also think about the flow that's behind it, right? Do you want someone just marking a task complete and the flow kind of just stuck there? Just kind of, I guess, think about your use cases here. Yeah. You can always set the state of an entity. You can always, I think you can set the state of an assignment to completed. But like, just think about your flow. Are you moving the flow? Are you moving the form forward? Are you moving, are you just kind of marking it as complete and keeping it there?
Yeah, well, sorry, I just want to mark that the task is complete. The flow obviously moves forward once this task is done, to a higher percentage completion.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll mark the state of the assignment as completed or not current, like, or something like that. It'll set the state of it. So I think there's a state. The states of an assignments are like current, completed, and stuff like that. I think so. It's like assigned, current, complete. I might need to look back, but yeah, assignments have states as well, and so you can change the state. It'll change the state when it gets completed. So, okay. Does that help? Does that help your question, Alex?
Sorry, what I said is I could not find a step. I was on mute, sorry. I could not find a step that changes the state of an assignment. I know the step that changes the state of the flow or a process flow, but not the one of an assignment. I could not find anything.
I think this set entity state is going to do it. Like it takes in an ID and sets the state of whatever object ID you give it to whatever state. The set state itself is used specifically for process folders. The set entity state, I trust it a lot more because you actually get to pick what you're setting the state of. The set state's very vague, so this should do the trick. I think we did have an issue where someone was trying to set the state of an assignment and it wasn't working. So just kind of be wary of that. It might be something that's an issue, but That's just because I remember seeing it somewhere. But the set entity state should work for you. If not, it'll work in the near future. So, but you can always, I mean, if you need a more robust kind of assignment thing, we can discuss, an assignment extension some other time.
Yeah, no, this should be
always,
enough.
yeah. Okay, cool. Glad I could help.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So this lunch and learn was actually sponsored by LL Bean. They really wanted to let us know that their new boots were on sale and that we really we should advertise for them. So yeah, thanks for joining us today, and everyone have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, bye.